सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
Allow your eyes to gently close. And just allow yourself to gently settle into a position that feels stable and balanced to you. Shouldn't be rigid. Hold yourself with love and tenderness. And gently allow the senses to withdraw inward. Just allow the senses to pull inward. Unhooking them from the world outside. Just unhook the awareness from all of the happenings in the world around you. And allow it to pull in to the world inside of you. And draw that awareness to the breath. But instead of drawing the awareness to the rib cage or the chest, draw the awareness to the breath low in your abdomen, about 2 inches below your belly button. There's a sacred energy center, a chakra, called the Swadhisthana chakra. And it's just about 2 inches below the navel. Draw the awareness of the breath there. As you inhale, feel that area, that energy center expanding on the inhalation. And feel yourself sinking deeper and deeper into that seat of the self. And the exhalation. Swadhisthana literally in Sanskrit means the place of the self. So feel the breath, inhale and exhale from that Swadhisthana chakra. On the next inhalation, allow the breath to rise from the Swadhisthana chakra up through your being. So feel that breath rise up through your solar plexus, through the rib cage and lungs, through the throat, and up to your third eye center, just between the two eyebrows, that third eye. And then on the exhalation, allow the breath to release and sink back down to the Swadhisthana chakra. And if you can't carry the breath all the way to the third eye on one unbroken, smooth, easy inhalation, don't worry. Just let it rise as high as it naturally can. And then let it go, dropping back into the Swadhisthana chakra. Take the breaths at your own pace. Don't force it. It's not pranayam. It's just an intentional energy of the breath to rise closer and closer to that third eye center, the Agya chakra. If the mind wanders, just gently bring it back to the breath. Don't yell at it. Just lovingly bring it back. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level and rub them gently against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly open the eyes and lower the hands. Welcome to Satsang. So wonderful to see you all here, especially the little ones. Yes, you. Both of you. If you have any questions, you get to ask first, okay? So, we will start as always with a question that comes in advance from our online audience. And then any questions that anyone here may have, we'll open it up to those. What is the one thing that we should do every single day without fail? Be grateful. There may be days where, due to whatever reason, travel schedule, other things, you may not actually be able to sit down cross-legged or however you sit and close your eyes for meditation. There just may be days when that happens. There may be days you can't get on a yoga mat. Days you don't make it to Aarti, that you can't do a fire ceremony. Days that you really can't, for whatever logistic reasons that the world has sent your way that day, that you can't actually do any of the other things that you're used to doing as your spiritual practice. But being grateful is something that you could do anywhere, whatever's going on. And I have found the fastest and most powerful way to reconnect myself. If you've got a strong meditation practice, then even if you've only got a few minutes, or you've only got the time sitting on an airplane or sitting on a bus or sitting in a car, not driving of course, but someone else's car, to meditate, you can still get plugged in because you've got a practice. But if you don't yet have a strong practice, then you're going to find it's hard to get that plugged in if you've only got 3 or 4 minutes. If you've got to do it sitting in an airplane with somebody right next to you, or, on a bus or a train, somebody right there in front of you. But being grateful is something that, even if you've never practiced it, no matter where you are, no matter who's with you, no matter what else you're doing, you can always be grateful. And it's the most powerful shifter of situation, of mindset, of energy that I have found. It's literally like turning on a light switch. You can be mired in stress, frustration, despair. And just being able to tap into what you are grateful for, to just be able to find something in that moment to be deeply grateful to the universe for, it shifts everything. So if you can only do one thing, be grateful. Just be grateful. And in that gratitude, recognize, who are you grateful to? Because gratitude on the one hand is just, I'm grateful. But if you take it a step deeper, well, who is the bestower of all of this? Who has provided me with that for which I am so grateful? And it doesn't matter what your religion may be. It doesn't matter what your spiritual tradition may be. You could call it God, you could call it universe, you could call it source, you could call it the Divine Mother, you could call it whatever you want. But an awareness that we're being taken care of really beautifully. Things may not always go our way, but we're being held and we're being carried and we're being taken care of. And to establish a relationship, a connection with the one who is taking care. Is, I think, probably the most important key to everything we're looking for in life. Happiness, peace, meaning, awakening, enlightenment, love. That connection to the one who's holding us and nourishing us and nurturing us and bestowing everything upon us. In that connection is everything. And gratitude takes you there again, faster than anything else I've ever seen, until and unless you develop a strong meditation practice, which obviously you should. And simply there being days when logistically one literally cannot, don't take that as a get out of jail free card every other day. But yeah, I think gratitude is something we shouldn't let a day go by without. Questions here? Any question that anyone here might have? Yes.
Namaskar. Many times it happens that people who loved you the most, they hurt you.
Can you stand up? Do you mind? It'll just make it easier to
Hi.
see and hear you. Hi.
Namaskar. So many times it happens that people whom you loved the most, they hurt you, right? And then there's a point where you feel that, okay, I don't want to talk, all right? Later on, because, we are bound with the feelings, right? And then somehow you feel like, okay, I will not talk, let the time heal it, okay? And the time passes. But the moment you remember everything, then again it hurts you back and you take you to ground zero rather than you're moving ahead, right? So how someone ensures that he or she goes ahead and making sure that the feelings which was there, the episode which already happened, right?
Yeah.
That should not hurt.
So it is a tragic irony that those we love the most are the ones who hurt us the most. It makes sense, though, when you think about it, because someone we don't love doesn't really have the power to hurt us that much. If I go to buy groceries and the guy behind the counter tries to sort of cheat me out of my change, I might catch him on it. I might be kind of annoyed. It might make a good story. But I'm not going to be deeply wounded that the guy at the cashier tried to cheat me. I'm going to just think, okay, I'll shop somewhere else from now on. This guy's a crook. But it's not going to hurt my heart. when those we really expect something different of treat us in ways that hurt, it doubly hurts because we expected something different. And this is where expectations are said to be, in spiritual practice, the teaching is always don't expect, let go of expectations. Why? Because they are the things that hurt you. In terms of time healing all wounds, I don't really subscribe to that belief. I think that's true if it's minor. I think that's true if it's the cashier who tried to cheat you out of your money. You move out of town, you come back 15 years later, you see the guy again. You're not going to hold a grudge. It's not going to, send your adrenal glands all on fire again. But I think in terms of loved ones, people we really trusted and relied upon and depended upon, and them hurting us, I don't think that time just makes it go away. It certainly hasn't in my experience. You've got to consciously let that go. That's not a matter of just, I'm going to be quiet and let time heal it. Time will heal a cut on my arm. The Band-Aid commercials will convince us that if you put a Band-Aid on it, it'll heal faster, and maybe it will. I haven't done the studies on my own. But point is, with a Band-Aid, without a Band-Aid, if you keep it clean, you disinfect it, time will heal it. But that's not so true with a wound in our heart. Lots and lots and lots of people carry those wounds forever. I can't tell you the number of people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s carrying wounds of their childhood. It's way more common than we would think. So in order to heal, you've actually got to consciously forgive and let go. And that has to be a conscious decision you make that says, this person hurt me a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 6 months ago, whatever it was. But now I'm the one who carries that into every day. I think that I'm not thinking about it, but I am. It's there, it's percolating in my mind. It's coloring everything, because the moment I see him or her, the moment something reminds me of him or her, the pain is there again. So you're not actually healing it in any way. All you've done is sort of stuffed it into a corner temporarily, but it's not going to stay in the corner. Instead, you need to really work on a very conscious plan of forgiveness and letting go, with the awareness that it's up to you. They're not going to come back. We hold on to things because we think, oh, they'll come back, they'll fix it, they'll say sorry, they'll acknowledge it, they'll make me feel like I matter. Chances are they won't. 99 times out of 100, they don't. They're not losing sleep over it. You're losing sleep over it. They've moved on. You need to move on. And you need to move on by letting go of the expectation that they will come back and fix it. That anything that you need in order to heal is going to come from them. It won't. But you forgive and you let go, because regardless of what someone did to you, you deserve to be free. That's your birthright. Your freedom is your birthright. And when we don't forgive, we're saying, you hurt me 6 months ago, 10 years ago, whatever it was, therefore, I am now consciously going to give you willingly the joy and the peace and the freedom of every day of the rest of my life. Why would you do that? But we do it. Right? But we do it. It's the $1,000,000 question, the $1,000,000,000 question. Why do you do it? They hurt you already. Why would you take that which you have left, which is the possibility of joy and peace and freedom for the rest of your life, and hand it to them also? But when we don't let go, that's exactly what we do. We're like, oh yeah, stomp on this also. Ruin this also, no problem. But what's interesting is it doesn't actually get done by them, it gets done by us. We are the ones then who ruin it every day for the rest of our lives, in their name. Like we've carried on their work. They hurt us and move on, so we're like, oh, all right, we'll just finish up the job. So you need to do a conscious program of letting go and forgiving. Not because it was okay, but because you deserve to be free, whatever it was. Whatever they do. Okay? Good. Yeah. Yeah, DJ Gavia.
Namaskaram, Holy Sister. It's a pleasure to witness you. I'd like to share something with you. Is I find when we travel and with good practices, I find it something like reachable to attain a good vibration. Mm-hmm. But anytime I feel like coming back home, seeing family or friends, or like being back to Paris, and I find it hard, sometimes even bothering my family, like if, let's say, I bless my food, or if I do something, it's too much for them.
Yes.
And how do you do to stay, let's say, Jesus vibration in town?
Yes, yes. So this is something that so many of us on spiritual paths face, is we have powerful spiritual experiences. We discover ways through meditation, through yoga, through other practices to maintain a high vibration, a spiritual vibration, to open and expand and develop on our path, and it feels great. And we know we're meant to keep doing it. But then when we go back to be with our families, in a lot of cases they rebel. They don't necessarily want to see it. It seems like too much for them. So, first of all, realize that what everyone's afraid of, one of the greatest fears that people have, is losing a loved one, right? If I say, what are the things that keep you up at night? Parents are afraid of losing their kids. Kids are afraid of losing their parents. Husbands and wives are afraid of losing each other. It's very natural. To family members, especially parents, who are not deeply spiritually anchored, to have a son or daughter seem to slip through their hands into a whole new world that they don't know anything about can feel like loss. You don't seem like the same person anymore. They want to know, where did that guy go? The guy they used to love and hang out with, where did he go? They know you, but they don't know you. And it brings up a lot of fear for them. There's also always that fear of like, oh my God, are you gonna, run away and join a cult and never come home? And so there's a lot of fear that people don't necessarily articulate very clearly or very vulnerably. It tends to get turned into more sarcastic or belittling remarks, kind of making fun about the way you eat, or the way you sleep, or the way you sit, or the way you dress. Just trying to kind of belittle it, make you feel sort of low and embarrassed, and maybe drop it. because they don't open up and really vulnerably admit what's going on. Have compassion for them is the first piece. But remember to have compassion for yourself. Nobody who loves you would ask you to give up that which were really good for you. If you were diabetic, no matter what a great baker your mother was or your father was, they would never say to you, "Oh, come on, you have to eat my cake." They would understand the kid's diabetic, it's going to kill him. In the same way, that which is really good for you, your spiritual path, that which is not so good for you, letting go of your spiritual path, is something that when people really love you, they will understand. It just takes time. Be gentle, be compassionate. It's also where you need to think about the language that you use. In a court of law, at least in America, we have to swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But in life, I'm not so sure that it has to be the whole truth. We have to tell the truth. We don't lie. But I'm just not convinced, especially in situations like this, where it's our family and we're embarking on a new path and it's a threat to them and there's conflict around that. I'm not convinced that we need to give whole truth. And you may decide to share parts of it and not share parts of it. You know, one of the things that I used to do when I would go back to visit my parents in LA in the early days was, with my spiritual practice, I had added a lot of time to both my morning and my evening. After I woke up in the morning with my meditation, before I went to sleep in the evening, my meditation. Now, my mom had always been really attached to me getting lots of sleep. When I was growing up, I was in bed by like 7 o'clock. I mean, I remember being sent to bed and it was still bright sunshine out. Mom was just always convinced, lots of sleep, lots of sleep. So I started to play on that and she also was always convinced that I never got enough sleep. That was always her concern, was you don't get enough sleep. So when I would go back to visit, I would retire to my room, a good hour and a half before I knew I was going to be going to bed. And I would say to Mom, I think I'm going to retire to my room. And Mom would be so happy that I was going to sleep early. And the next morning I would, get up, I would do my meditation, I'd come out of my room and Mom would be like, "Oh my God, you had such a good night's sleep, I'm so happy." And I thought, you know what? There's really no need for me to say, "Oh God, I've been up for hours." Makes her happy to think I slept 10 hours. Fantastic, why go into the nitty-gritties? And so you're going to find ways in your family. You go out for what they think you're going out for breakfast to meet a friend. Instead, you're going to sit in the park and meditate. Whatever you need to do. If you need to get out of the house, you'll think of ways that are gentle, that are kind, that don't require you to specifically say, "This is what I'm doing." And slowly, slowly, slowly they'll come around. Because the truth is a magnet. And once they realize they're not going to lose you, but that you have found yourself, you will become like a magnet that actually attracts them. But it takes time. But hold on to what you found. That's your duty to yourself. Yes.
And namaste. When I was reading Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna advises Arjuna to become a yogi. What is exact?
He advises Arjun?
To become a yogi.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that part?
Sure.
What is so good?
So in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjun to become a yogi. He's saying, what does that mean? Well, it means a lot more than we can go into in the next few minutes. But, we have the Bhagavad Gita is 700 verses. And except for a few of them, they're verses of Lord Krishna speaking on yoga. So we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of verses on yoga. But, excuse me, but there's beautiful verses in which he tells Arjun, what does a yogi look like? What does a wise one look like? What does a bhakt look like, a devotee look like? And he gives these very specific teachings. A yogi is one who is anchored in equanimity, in success and in failure, in gain and in loss, in pleasure and in pain. So that's a really good cue. Most of us don't have equanimity at all. We've got very distinct preferences, very distinct likes and dislikes, very distinct aversions and yearnings. But he says the yogi is one with equanimity, who's able to move through life the way that you would move through a flower orchard, where you simply notice, these are the roses. These are the jasmine. These are the sunflower. But you don't have any emotional reaction to the jasmine flowers for how dare they not be red like the roses. How dare they not be velvety like a rose. You're able to just appreciate it all. Or the way we walk through a fruit orchard. Apples and oranges and bananas. And you certainly may, if you had a platter of fruit, choose one over the other. But you would never walk by a banana tree and say, my God, these stupid bananas, why aren't they juicy? The orange is so juicy. What's wrong with these bananas? We understand. Bananas are bananas, oranges are oranges, roses are roses. And so he says the yogi is one who, in all of these dichotomies and all of these differences, the yogi is balanced. Able to recognize, see, and stay the same. Failure. Success. Gain. Just noticing, a rose. Now jasmine. So that's one. The yogi is one to whom, it's one of my favorite verses, the yogi is one to whom a lump of clay, a brick of gold, and a handful of dirt are all the same. Now, what he doesn't mean is that a yogi can't tell the difference between what a brick of gold feels like, what a lump of clay is like, or a handful of dirt. Yoga makes us even more subtle in our discrimination, but meaning that the yogi doesn't place any more preference. The yogi doesn't see a greater value in the gold, that the yogi is able to understand everything has its utility. If I want to build a house, this clay is much more useful. So the yogi is able to see everything. Again, with equanimity, without a sense of preference, to understand, they all have different qualities. But as far as value, they're all the same. And then as he shifts into descriptions of the bhakti yogi, well, there's beautiful, beautiful passages, a whole section on bhakti yogi that take us through the one who is kind, the one who is a friend to all, the one who gives and serves. I mean, it's like a treatise on how to be a good person. So that's what he means. He means literally follow all these things that I'm telling you. But the Bhagavad Gita is not only instructions, it's also inspiration. Meaning it's not just a to-do list. Some of it is. Some of it is really clearly like, do this, be like the yogi is one who, A, B, C, D, like tick, 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 But then it's also full of that deeper spiritual wisdom of knowing that God is in everyone, knowing that everything is God, discussions on our dharma, our purpose in life. So ultimately the yogi is one who gets it all, who lives like this, these checkpoint bullet points, but with the awareness that everything is God, that there's a perfection in the divine, that we are just tools in God's hands. The yogi would be the one who literally understood and lived by all of those verses. Yeah, so it gives us a lot of places to start. That's the beautiful thing about the Bhagavad Gita, kind of wherever you open it, you can start. It's not like, a mathematical textbook that if you don't begin at the beginning, you're not going to understand the rest. You can literally open it anywhere and take that as your starting point. Or take that as your message for the day or your teaching for the week. Beautiful. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. There will not be satsang tomorrow. I will be out for one day. I have to go to Kanpur for a day. But I will be back day after tomorrow. So I'll miss you just for one night. But we'll be back together again day after tomorrow. And a beautiful morning and day to our family joining us online. And so much love to all of you.